first met sharks, I was aware of their reputation as being practically mindless, but they did not behave as if they were operating on instinct alone. Following a series of curious encounters with them in Tahiti, I began to study them, identifying individual blackfin reef sharks in the local lagoon and keeping detailed records of all encounters. Each individual was surprisingly different in behavior, and they appeared to be intelligent and very social animals. They seemed to enjoy roaming with me as much as I loved to be with them. I visited them at sunset because they were resting during the day, and certain sharks became quite attached to me. I was fascinated by their attention. When I went underwater, one after another, the sharks who knew me best would swim up to my face, an unexpected shark greeting. Most of this strange true story takes place underwater with the sharks, and it is full of startling and unexpected events. Their behavior was complex and at times very emotional. They were easily frightened. This is Wendy. I met her in the lagoon one morning and threw a treat to her. You'll be able to see it fall. See it? There. Now she comes. She takes it there, and holding it in her mouth, she comes and slams me. And now she swallows it. Watch. See, her mouth is open, and as she moves away, it's moving. That's where she swallows her treat. When they get mad at you, these sharks don't bite. They knock you senseless. Watch. She circles away, and then she comes back and slams me again. That was a hard one. I never knew what upset her that day, but you can see her emotional nature. Emotion in sharks was unknown before this record was made, and their intelligence and sensitivity is one of the major themes of my book, The Shark Sessions. Years passed as I learned about their lives and became increasingly intimate with them. Once a week, I brought them some fish scraps and put them on the sand. Their excitement was fun to watch as they soared together through the coral with their scraps. But they could not eat those fish heads and left them for the nurse sharks who came as night fell. Nurse sharks were a very different species, sharks the size of horses who lay around on the sand munching. Many gathered as it grew dark, and sometimes they would rise up vertically beneath those fish heads in their effort to scrape out the meat inside, and looked as if they were dancing. I painted this illustration of them since the macabre scene was too dark to photograph. Lemon sharks and white-tip reef sharks also joined us at times, and I included accounts of the intelligent behavior of fish and other species to provide a framework for the accounts of intelligence in the sharks. Each of the illustrations is a message from me to you to enhance the flow of language. These full-page illustrations were done to be printed in black and white in the book, of course. This bird would come with me to visit the sharks, and I would have to take her home early. When I visited their lagoon, the sharks met me and swam with me as we explored. Every visit was special. Each time I saw something new. When I finally got an internet connection, I learned that no one else had ever studied sharks this way. It was not even thought to be possible, and that most people thought that they were vicious. By then I had identified nearly 500 individuals and could recognize 300 on sight. My book was filled with drawings of the pattern of each shark's dorsal fin design, its name inscribed between the two sides in calligraphy. Once in contact with other scientists, I began publishing, and when Arthur A. Merberg of the University of Miami first presented scientific evidence that shark can think at the Max Planck Institute in Germany in 2003, he used some of my examples as evidence. Oh, did you see that? Let's just go back. Here is slowed down. The shark is scratching herself. At that International Symposium on Cognition, it was agreed that cognition in animals was now a scientific fact. Then a company from Singapore set itself up throughout this island nation and began massacring the sharks for the shark fin soup racket. The entire community fled, and when some returned, they bore hooks and injuries. This photo was taken a year after Ali's face was slashed by a machete, presumably as she had struggled to get away. After that, their community was in turmoil while I tried to get them protected. I was sure that some public outcry of horror would go up to match my own dismay, but only the divers cared. So I sent out pleas over the internet to write to the government to ask that Polynesian sharks be protected by law. At night, I sat gazing out to sea while the waves lapped gently upon the beach. A trill of sound, a pause of silence, another trill, measuring the time. Outside the reef, lights slowly passed. Always there was a tension. I never knew who would die next. And that was when a film crew from the BBC came to film the story of the intelligent sharks for Discovery Channel. In spite of incredible adversity as I prepared my temperamental sharks for their visit, I managed to have a large group for the filming. And after the long interview about their intelligence and their social lives, I was satisfied. The news of their disaster and the dire need for their protection had finally been reported to the wider world. But though the sharks were being filmed during the day and finned at night, Discovery's Shark Week cut all of the information about the intelligent sharks who were being slaughtered because it didn't match the horror show image of sharks that they wanted to sell. My sharks were caught in a black hole of suffering, which was spreading out to affect all sharks all over the world, yet my pleas for protection were blocked by the media. So I wrote down their story, that the world would find out what they were like and what happened to them. Because by the time the sharks of Polynesia were protected 2 years later, like a lost dream, they and their community were gone. This book debunks Shark Week's blood and teeth mythology. Sharks are not killing machines, but like the other animals, you know, who express a range of feelings towards you. If you love nature, you will lose yourself in enchantment and be zinging with wonder at the startling things that happened in this world so far unknown. Come with me on this strange, true adventure for the sake of all the sharks who remain, who are worthy of protection.